Many of the promises made by our new president-elect affect people in the region that we live in very personally. I mean, we live in the most trafficked international border in the world. The border between San Diego and Tijuana represents a binational region that is actually the largest in the world. So, you know, the proclamations that are coming out right now affect life very intimately where we live, and there's a lot of anxiety in the air. I guess it's terrifying because a lot of what emerged during this last election cycle is a kind of populist anger that has been submerged for a very long time. And the ugliness of the political language has unmoored and somehow made that language a legitimate political discourse in a way that for generations it wasn't. But you know, we're kind of taking a very strong political stand against, obviously, these policies, but on the other hand, we have to mobilize whatever resources we can at this moment to use the moment to our benefit. And so we're kind of taking a wait-and-see attitude. The AIA, for example, in the US right now, just came out with a very bold sort of statement of cooperation with the new administration, and it's created a firestorm among people. There's been a promise of $500 billion of new public infrastructure, for example. So let's see where that infrastructure is coming from, who's funding it, how privatized it will be, before we get on board and say, yes, we'll join you in this mission. So right now, there's a lot of hope that he actually won't be able to make good on a lot of his promises. But I think what he's done is he's opened up a hydra's head of racism, of homophobia, of xenophobia, that now sort of has a place on the American political platform. So this is an ideological war as much as anything else.
Obviously, we are hugely saddened about what has happened in the United States because it represents a reversal of many of the small, if anything, advances towards a more progressive idea of social welfare, of investments in health, and beginning to really re-engage a more robust public agenda. This is going to be a reversal to bring us back to hyper-privatization as we haven't seen it. So it's almost, the sad thing is how little memory we have as a society, the kind of amnesia that we suffer from. We came out of one of the worst economic recessions in a long, long time since the Great Depression, precisely because of the agendas that this new administration will reinstate. So when we clamor for change, I think that we as a society need to be a lot more informed. And that's obviously, ultimately, the failures of democracy. Democracy is not just votes. It's really about an informed constituency that really understand the consequences of their own votes. Mm-hmm. And so I think that at the end of the day, we are sad, but we are also turned on because we will continue to really dig deeper into the types of institutional mechanisms that have produced so much inequality, and to really commit so much more to the communities and to the agencies and the projects that we've devoted all our practice for. So this is going to be a time to continue reorganizing ourselves and to continue to take a political stance. I think the ultimate tragedy here is that this is the result not only of a period of anti-social and anti-public agendas, but also the fact that many institutions during all this time have remained silent, unable to take a position against such xenophobia and such rhetoric, including the schools of architecture. As Fonna was saying, the American Institute of Architects already producing a very neutral extending of a hand to the new administration without questioning where these revenues to invest in infrastructure might come from. So what I'm trying to say is that this is a time for our institutions more than ever to take a political position and really expose and condemn really what has been ethically and morally wrong within our own society and our political system. That xenophobia is obviously wrong, that anti-immigration is a wrong attitude. Ultimately, in our case, that building border walls is wrong. And so we will continue, I think, through our work and our networks to continue to push back against what will become unfortunately, 4 dark years in the life of American public.